This is the Art of Success podcast. I'm Tom Foxley, founder of Mindset RX and your host. And today we're going to talk about what 150 workouts in 75 days taught me about self-discipline, about mental toughness, and about getting what you want. I've never made such radical improvements to any of my goals in such a condensed and short time period. In the last 75 days, I've put on 3 kilos of muscle. I've hit a lifetime best in my back squat. I've taken 10 minutes off my 10K run time, and I've taken 5 shots off my golf handicap, all in just 75 days. And without losing focus on my business, and without losing my marriage, and without losing my happiness as well. So, in this podcast, I'm going to tell you exactly how I did that and how I hit my goals without even aiming at them, how I got through the hardest parts of this challenge and how someone else did that too, the key reframe which allowed me to succeed, and finally, why I would do this all again. This entire process started with one of my clients, Jackson. I've been coaching Jackson for the last few months, and his focus was developing more discipline. That's what it had isolated as his biggest challenge in his life. So we wanted to put his new skill set to the test because we've been working together at that point for about 3 months, and we wanted to test it over the next 2.5 months. So we wanted to give him something really difficult to do. He came up with the idea of executing 75 hard. And the challenge is 75 days, no days off. And every single day, you must hit 2 workouts a day. Each one has to be 45 minutes, and one of those has to be outside. Drink 4.5 liters or a gallon of water. Stick to any diet that you consider the diet that's best for you. Drink no alcohol and read 10 pages of nonfiction. If you screw up one part of this, you got to start again from day one. So personally, I've been seeking some difficult challenge again because I'd been feeling like I was getting a little bit soft. I'd been feeling like I was taking the easy option too often, and I was losing that discipline, that focus that I had at the beginning of the year and after my ultra marathon last year. Been taking life a little bit too easy. But what's more is when Jackson suggested this, well, actually, it's pretty equal. It's partly selfish, partly because I was being a good coach. When Jackson suggested this, I knew that accountability is huge in this. And there are plenty of times when I was thinking, oh, if I don't succeed in this, I'm gonna not only let myself down, but let Jackson down, and I'm being accountable to him. And I know that was the case vice versa as well. Jackson was accountable to me, and it kept us both in the challenge. So if you're gonna do something tough, it's very difficult initially to just be accountable to yourself. So make it easier. Become accountable to someone else. Find someone else who wants to do things that suck with you, and find someone else who wants to challenge themselves and push themselves to their next level. Find someone who wants to suffer with you. So that's lesson number one. Find someone to be accountable with. Part two, for both of us, the booze, the drinking water, and the nonfiction, we're like basically already doing those. They're consistent habits. So it really became about the working out on a consistent basis and following that nutrition plan. For me personally, I was just eating in a calorie surplus. Jackson had a different one. But we also talked about executing a daily mindset process too for Jackson. So this is anything from journaling to visualization to breath work to yoga nidra or non-sleep deep rest. To, like he had to do something every single day too. And if you think about all those objectives that have just listed out, so everything from the workouts to the nutrition to the hydration, to the daily mindset training, you're going to notice that absolutely none of those have a focus on the outcome. They're all to do with the process itself. None of them had a goal other than consistency itself. And that is the primary reason that I got such insane results. Genuinely, for the 75 days, I never even considered the outcome. But 4 times per week, I'd hit a CrossFit session. 2 or 3 times a week, I'd be playing golf or getting a lesson. I made up the rest with like a ton of running or yomping, or you say yomping is like load carrying or rucking, yoga, mobility sessions, anything, bike rides here and there, got on the Peloton, like anything to keep it varied. Rock climbing was in there. And what happens is that efficiency and consistency compounds over the time. So the second lesson is this: obsess over the process and forget the outcome. When all you think about is the outcome, what happens is you magnify the significance of just achieving and attaining the goal. And because of that, you spend all your time focusing on the distance between where you are and where you want to get to. And that makes everything that stands in the way seem almost catastrophic or seem way more powerful than actually it is. But when you make the process itself the goals actually take care of themselves. So that's lesson number two: obsess over the process. About 60 days into this, so two-thirds of the way ish into this, Jackson got COVID. And if you've had COVID or if you just had a shitty flu, you know what this is like. For him, this threatened to derail the whole thing and make him start again. It's a cruel twist of fate because you know how shitty that would have felt. And also having put in 60 days of work, that the sunk cost of putting that much work in, it was just like horrendous. And then you consider the thoughts of like going out and actually working out. That was just like, I know from obviously conversations and coaching calls with him, that was just appalling. And over the weeks, we exchanged a few voice notes, or sorry, over those couple of days, we exchanged a few voice notes, and I could tell, and he could tell that he was really like struggling to hang on. But the important thing that we remembered is that he didn't start this to get physically fitter. He started it to stress himself and test himself mentally and to train that act of discipline even further. The goal wasn't fitness, it was mental fitness. So the next lesson of 75 Hard is essential. Remember, you're always training your mental skill set. No matter what your goals are, you're always training your mental skill set and you're making that more likely to happen in the future. So no matter the physical problem, you can always train your mind. Luckily, at this point, Andy Frisella, I think that's how you pronounce his name, the creator of 75 Hard, had defined workouts that entirely catered for this scenario. Is like I've got the exact quote written down here. It's moving your body with the intent of making it better. So Jackson stuck on a weighted vest and walked. This for him was like a max workout. Like I had one of these moments where I got back from a horrendous heavy deadlift session at CrossFit, and there were a lot of deadlifts, and I still had a run to do that night. And it was like 8:30, 9:30. So kind of starting to get dark. And like, man, I just trudged my way through the most horrendous run of my life. And I did like 7K in 45 minutes, which for me was very slow. And it was the most willpower I used. But the point of this wasn't to train my physical capacity. The point was to do something difficult and adapt to the environment that I put myself into. So the fourth lesson in doing anything difficult at any point is be adaptable because no plan survives first contact with the enemy. Quite often we think of discipline as this very rigid and immovable thing, whereas like I'm obsessing over this one thing, I'm going to achieve this one thing. But discipline has these supporting skills to it that aid you in displaying it. And a lot of these more kind of yin style character skills, so patience and adaptability and creativity, that's all part of the skill set. So when we try to be too rigid, our approach becomes brittle. But when we are flexible and adaptable, we can create the solution to the problem that we're facing. So that is a key part of doing something difficult. When we actually got to the end of 75 Hard, it was all actually quite underwhelming. I walked back into the house after doing my final workout, and I showered and I chilled out in front of the sofa, and there was a bit of like a oh well done from my wife Harriet, but not really a kind of like a huge celebration, obviously. But the next day, I got up and with no question at all executed a workout. There was no like, should I, shouldn't I? It just did it because something had shifted in my mind. Like there was nothing that I could put my finger on saying it is exactly this, but that's the way that mindset change always works out. You'll hear this phrase time and time again when you hear my previous clients or my current clients come on this podcast. Nothing changed, but at the same time, everything changed. I feel more capable. I feel more confident now that I can form these goals. Like at work, so when I'm dealing with clients or whether I'm doing all the thousand other things that you have to do as a business owner, I'm attacking those with more discipline and more focus and more self-belief. And I remember a similar sensation when I completed training with the Royal Marines. I felt I could do anything. I feel the same thing, or I felt the same thing when I was when I like climbed some bigger mountains or when I proposed to my wife. The key lesson is this: doing difficult things intentionally makes the rest of your life easier. And that's the biggest benefit that I could have got from this. And this is why I'm going to do something like this again. I'm even making a 75 hard just from a mindset perspective. And I'm probably going to do a 75 hard at the same time from a business perspective too. Because when we have these short, focused, intentional periods where we just execute the process and it is intentionally difficult, we unveil the part of us that is prepared for this challenge and that is ready to level up and meet the standard of that challenge. And that is the most essential lesson of all of this process, is do more difficult things. If you enjoyed the podcast, head to Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to this, and leave a 5-star review. It would mean the world to me. You can leave a 1-star review, of course, if you want. You can leave a 3-star review, whatever makes it better for you. Be honest. Let me know. If you've got subjects that you'd like me to cover in this, head to my Instagram, which is Tom Foxley. And whilst you're there, follow me. But shoot me a message and things that you want to hear about, because you'll notice there's been a change in focus in this. No longer am I solely focusing on CrossFit athletes. I'm focusing on high performers as a whole. These are usually people who are frustrated not being able to hit their next level and want to succeed, and they want to find their next level, but they find their mind is getting in the way. And that affects their career or their business. It affects their relationships. It affects their fitness. And the reason that they want to do this and to change their mindset is to level up as a whole. So if you want to hear about more things, follow me on Instagram, shoot me a message with what you want to learn about, and I'll be incredibly grateful. And until next time, speak to you soon.